Hey guys, how are you today? Stephanie Graham, Sopreneur, and it is July 22nd, 2022, and hopefully I will not be interrupted with this recording. So, fingers crossed. I am just going to share a little bit about the sewing and textile arts industry as a career option. And when I say career, think of it, you can think of it in two different ways. You can think about it as getting a job and working for a manufacturer or somebody else. Or you can think about it as you are the business owner and you want to grow. And so you need some ideas on what type of staff to have in your company. So that's basically a way to look at this video. Um, there are different types of entrepreneurial careers. Great name, right? Entrepreneurial. So one idea is to start your own sewing business, right? So you would pick your legal structure like a sole proprietorship, which I really am not a encourager of, just because of all the legal issues that could happen. So I really push my students to find legal advice because I can't give that to them, but I also have them really think about the benefits that having a partnership, corporation, or an LLC, and just kind of think about that, incorporate yourself, that kind of thing. Again, I don't give legal advice or tax advice. I just share with you what I do. I am an LLC. I am a single member LLC. That means I own my company 100%, and I have my own board meetings with myself, and it's just fun, I tell you. Anyways, so once you know which legal structure you want, if you want to be an entrepreneur, which is sewpreneur, get it, sewing entrepreneur, and plug in website, go there, get on the newsletter. It's free. So if you want to be a sewpreneur, think of the legal structure. But if you want to work for a manufacturer, kind of think about the careers that are available to you. Now, there are dozens, maybe 50 or so careers in the textile and sewing industry. I'm not going to go through all of those in this recording, but let's just dive in, right? Okay. Obviously, we touched on home based business. You can have a studio in your home, on your property. You could even own or rent a space in a multi-office tech kind of company. There's a name for it. I just totally don't remember what it's called. But anyways, there's different options for that. Um, there's something called cottage industry. So you might want to write that down and look into it. That is not a term that's used very often. And what that means is this. According to dictionary.com, it is a business or manufacturing activity carried on in a person's home. So there you have it, home-based business, cottage industry, right? You could be the owner of a retail store. Think of your high-end boutiques, like right now on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. There are different types of boutiques on the island, and some of those, the majority of them, are not a franchised boutique. It is a local owner who's rented out a retail shop, and they source handmade, unique items from all over the globe, pretty much. So you could even own that and still sew if you wanted to. So kind of, get your wheels turning a little bit of what's available to you. You could start or work for a dressmaker, a seamstress shop, a tailor shop. Think if you're interested in being a seamstress or a tailor, you could even get some hands-on training during your summer if you're a student. You could even try to get like an internship, a summer internship at a bridal shop in town, or even a small local seamstress or tailor in your town. So think about how you can go about getting hands-on experience. Um, or filling in the gaps. Maybe you own a home business and it's not growing very fast. Trust me, stick with me. You're going to learn how to grow that pretty quickly. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notification, leave likes and comments and help me grow. And then get on the newsletter at sewingpreneur.com because I teach you the business side of sewing over there in here, right? Apparel production is a business, and there are different options for employment and business growth in that area. It says something about mail order business, and I think when I think of that and it comes to textiles and sewing, I think that it is like a Etsy, Shopify kind of thing. So again, there's all kinds of jobs available. If you don't sew, but you love um, being in textile, you don't actually have to sew to work in the textile or sewing industry. There are other options for you, but as long as you're knowledgeable, like on the terms and what that company or business owner does, there's no reason why you can't at least try to work with them. Um, some other types of careers would be um, being a graphic designer. I know that when my budget opens up, I am going to have a graphic designer. Right now, I do things on my own, but in my goal, big, hairy, audacious goal over here, the BHAG that I learned years and years ago, um, is to have my own in-house graphic designer. They don't have to live with me or work in my office, but I want somebody that solely works with me for me in my designs. So that's an option, right? Let's see here. We have a fabric editor. And if you are familiar with designing and printing your own fabric, like on spoonflower.com, there's ways to do that. You would need your own graphics. You have to own the picture or have the rights, and then you need to know what kind of colors to put together. And um, I think pretty much anything goes these days. If you are familiar with the quilting industry, there's someone called Tula Pink, Tula Pink. um, she has beautiful fabrics, vibrant colors. I mean, if I would love to have a collection of her fabric. I'm just telling you all the fun things I could make with it. Even if you have her fabric and you have scraps, hit me up. I might buy them from you. So, well, there you go. That's one way to make some money from your sewing business. And I was going to touch on that later, but it's already here. I might as well tell you. Sell your fabric scraps. They don't have to be any particular shape or size for the most part. I love to take some time, which I in 2022 I haven't had the space or the place to do it, but taking fabric scraps and broken jewelry and pulling it apart and creating one of a kind, or OOAK. We've talked about that before. One of a kind art pieces. The mixed media art is still very popular, and people like me that are in the mixed media arts, we will buy your scraps and buy your broken jewelry, and we will turn that into some form of art. Um, Eventually, I will be brave enough to show you what I make. But until then, I guess you just have to follow me right now for this. You could be a seamstress, a tailor, um, be a designer, design your own clothes. When I was about 12, between the ages of 11 and probably 11 to the age of 15, I would sit in my room with the big box fan and an open window because there was no AC in our house. And every summer, I would just sit there and I would draw on the backs of paper and design clothes. Now, I um, don't have any of those sketches now, but they are literally sketched in my memory of those fashions that I was so interested in one day becoming a fashion designer. That was not a path that I was introduced to. So now I've taken all that creative energy and I create art dolls, one of a kind art dolls with a vintage primitive type of flair. So the skills and talents I had then as a young child, I've carried into adulthood, and they just kind of blossomed into a different type of product. So just think about, do you like to sketch or doodle, and how that can be turned into or introduced to the sewing industry or textile arts industry. Again, you don't have to know how to sew to make a career out of this industry. There's plenty of space for you. You can create the patterns. You can have somebody else take your vision of a pattern and sketch it for you, and then be the creator of that. Have someone design it, so whenever you actually sew the pattern together, it makes sense and looks right. And that doesn't mean just for clothes. It could be for curtains, pillows, upholstery, um, just everything that has textiles, right? If it's made with fabric, it's going to need you. And if you are into sewing and you are looking to expand your product line, hire somebody that can sew, or use a serger or the industrial machine. Start training them on your fashions or your memory bears or t-shirt blankets and so forth, and have them come into your studio and work alongside of you to get things done. And if you don't want them to sew, maybe they can cut the items out. Maybe they can sort the fabric. They could finish the item, check the hems, and basically be the quality control person in your studio. So, hopefully, this gives you some ideas on what you can do within your business to either expand your business, start your business, or find a job in textile and sewing arts. Don't forget to get some exposure at a at a fabric store, fabric shop, like a quilt shop, because not all fabric is the same. If you walk in, you might become very overwhelmed with the number and just the quantity of fabric. So you can even start there if you're too young to really work anywhere. Start studying these different types of fabrics and the weaves, different types of sewing needles and what they're used for. Um, I mainly speak to adults like 18 and over on my channel. But if you are a parent and your child wants to learn to sew, get them the sewing machine. Get them the cheapest sewing machine, not a child's sewing machine. I never recommend that, but you know your kid, you know what's best for them. Um, but get them the cheapest basic sewing machine and some of the cheaper fabric. You can get those fat quarters for like $1 a piece at your grocery store, um, and just teach them how to sew. Basic lines, let them learn the different needles and the thread types. Like I said, not all thread and fabric, scissors and needles, they're not all the same. They're different for a reason and for a different purpose. So if your child has an interest in textiles or sewing, definitely get on the path of learning more about that today. And you don't have to sink a bunch of money. In fact, I recommend that you don't buy the most expensive machines or scissors or anything like that. I would get the cheapest basic items and get some books, go online, visit your local library, follow my channel for some ideas, because years and years ago, I taught 4-H and Girl Scouts and some of the homeschoolers basic sewing. So definitely start where you're at. Again, you can learn for free online. Um, you can visit your thrift stores to find books, sewing machines. Even if it's not a great sewing machine, you might find one for $5 or $10 at a thrift store or the garage sale. Really show an interest in your child's interest, and just jump in and get started. But I hope this was helpful to you today, and I'll be back. I do want to let you know, coming up Now, I already have 2 different classes that are already published on this YouTube channel, so hopefully you have found your way through them. If not, let me know. It's best to contact me through my website at sopreneur.com. That way I do see your questions. You can always leave a comment under this video, and when I see them, I do answer them. This is a prototype of the planner. This planner will be for sale in my Amazon author store front very soon. And once it's published through Amazon, I will put the link underneath this video. Until then, I just want to give you a heads up. No, it's not mandatory. You don't have to buy it. If you do buy it, that would be great. That's how I can afford to bring you some free content on this channel. But the newest one is 132 pages. It is uh, a 4 week, it says, I'll just read you what I wrote. It is 4 weeks of focused planning for sewing business owners. And we will be working through 4 weeks worth of projects. And you can just kind of look over my shoulder at what I'm doing for the last quarter of 2022. Because what I write in my 4 week planner is going to move me forward for the remaining of 2022 into 2023. So I'm actually going to take 4 weeks and plan out almost maybe an entire year. That's how I use this planner. I highly recommend that you purchase this. It's pretty cheap. I'm not going to make much money off of it, but trust me, every dollar helps me bring you content. And inside the page, I have an explanation of what the pages are and how we're going to use those in our class. Again, follow along on this channel because I will be doing this on the YouTube channel that you're watching right now. We will talk about each page in depth once I have the final copy in my hands and how we're going to use this. So hang out and let's work together on getting 2022 moving forward and having a great start to 2023. I know you're thinking, Stephanie, it's not even August. You're right, but in the sewing industry, it's just about Halloween right now for us, if not Thanksgiving, because by the time September hits, it's already Christmas. And the sewing, I mean, maybe other industries are like this, but I know in the sewing industry, if you aren't already thinking about Christmas by July, you're going to be behind everybody else. So definitely consider hanging out with me. Purchase your planner and let's work together on having a really strong 2022 fall and winter, and then a great start to 2023. All right, guys, again, it's sewpreneur.com. It's Stephanie Graham, sewpreneur.com. Like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.